Welcome back to the channel. Let's cut the pleasantries and get straight to the point. I don't believe in saving just for the sake of saving. You've heard the generic advice. Cut out your daily latte and you'll be a millionaire in 50 years. That is nonsense. Frugality alone won't make you wealthy. That is playing defense. However, I do believe in ruthless prioritization and living below your means. Why? Because every single dollar you stop wasting on junk is a soldier you can send out to fight for your financial freedom. The difference isn't about how much you keep in a piggy bank. It's about how much capital you free up to invest, to work, and to compound for you. Over the last few years, I have radically audited my spending. I cut out 9 specific categories of expenses that seemed normal, but were actually draining my wealth. And here is the truth. My quality of life didn't drop. In fact, I have more money, more time, and less mental clutter. Today, I'm walking you through these 10 things. And a fair warning, some of this might bruise your ego. Let's get into it. 1. Physical books, the Tsundoku trap. Point number 1 might sound controversial because I am a huge advocate for reading. I truly believe that knowledge is the single best investment in your human capital. Material items go out of fashion. Cars rust, houses can burn down, but the knowledge you upload to your brain is the only asset no one can ever take away from you. But let's be honest, buying books and reading books are two completely different hobbies. The Japanese even have a word for this, tsundoku, the act of buying books and letting them pile up unread. I used to buy everything. Now, my approach is surgical. I only buy a physical hardback copy if I have already read the book digitally, if it has entered my Hall of Fame, and if I know I will reread it and take notes. Those books sit on my shelf as trophies. Everything else, I either buy it on Kindle, which is cheaper and instant, or, and this is the real hack, I use the library. Apps like Libby allow you to borrow audiobooks and ebooks for free. This saves hundreds of dollars a year and, more importantly, keeps my apartment free of clutter I'll only consume once. 2. Brand new cars, the ego tax. Unless you have money to burn, never buy a brand new car off the lot. Ever. The math here is brutal. The second you put the key in the ignition and drive that car off the showroom floor, you lose 10% to 15% of its value, just because it is now used. By the end of the 3rd year, the average car loses up to 60% of its value. Ask yourself, is that new car smell really worth torching tens of thousands of dollars? I know people say, but I want the warranty, I want peace of mind. You can buy a certified pre-owned car with 2,000 miles on the clock that is technically perfect but costs 30% less. Instead of financing the depreciation of metal, I prefer to invest that difference. Imagine if you took that $20,000 overpayment and put it into an index fund. In 10 years, that money could buy you your dream car in cash. But right now, you are just paying for impatience and the desire to impress strangers at a traffic light. 3. Souvenirs and tourist clutter. I live for travel. Flights, hotels, experiences, food. I will always spend money on these because they shape who I am. But I have completely stopped buying souvenirs. I used to drag home magnets, shot glasses, keychains, and t-shirts. And what happens to them? They become visual noise. I live in a modest apartment. The last thing I need is a collection of dusty trinkets falling out of my cupboards. That isn't a memory. That is clutter. If you want to preserve a memory, there is a better, free way. Journaling. Since 2016, I have kept a travel log where I write down my thoughts and feelings after every trip. Before filming this, I read an entry from 5 years ago. It brought back a flood of vivid emotions and smells. Looking at a cheap plastic magnet does nothing but make me want to dust the shelf. 4. The updated version of tech. Marketing departments are geniuses. They have convinced us that if we don't buy the new iPhone or the new watch on launch day, we are hopelessly behind. The rate of new tech releases has far exceeded our actual need for upgrades. I noticed a paradox of diminishing returns. When I bought my first Apple Watch, the jump in my happiness was huge. I went from nothing to smart device. I got fit, I tracked my sleep, it was worth the money. But a year later, a new version came out. I spent a few $100 to upgrade. And the result? My happiness may be increased by 5%. The screen was slightly brighter. That's it. I paid 100% of the price for a 5% difference. Now, before I upgrade, I ask a hard question. Does this new feature justify the cost? Or should I spend this money on a new experience or an investment? Spoiler alert, the gadgets almost never win. 5. Items on sale, the psychological trap. There is a massive difference between buying something on sale and buying something because it is on sale. 40% off, clearance, Black Friday. These are not gifts from the universe. These are psychological triggers designed by behavioral economists to make you justify spending money you didn't plan to spend. Look at it logically. If you were planning to buy a jacket for $200 and it drops to $140, great, you saved $60. But if you were walking past a store, saw a red sticker, and bought a jacket for $140 that you didn't need, you didn't save $60. You lost $140. Sales are just a way to get you to buy things you otherwise wouldn't touch. Remember, you are at war. It is you and your wallet against multi-billion-dollar corporations with unlimited marketing budgets. The only way to win is not to play their game. 6. Investments I don't understand. FOMO investing. This isn't a store purchase, but it is a critical way people lose money. I have stopped putting cash into things I do not understand. In the age of hype, crypto, and NFTs, it is very easy to succumb to herd mentality. Everyone is buying, so I should too. But investing in a black box isn't strategy, it's gambling. Even if you have a financial advisor, you have a duty to understand the basics. How does this asset generate value? Is it ethical? What are the risks? No one, absolutely no one, will care about your money as much as you do. My rule is simple. If I cannot explain it to a 6-year-old, I don't invest in it. I would rather miss the rocket ship than lose my capital on something I don't comprehend. 7. Fast fashion. I mentioned in a previous video that I haven't bought a piece of clothing in 6 months. To some, that sounds crazy. I used to be the ideal customer for fast fashion brands. I bought bags of clothes because they were cheap and trendy. The problem with fast fashion is that it is engineered to be disposable. Seams rip, fabric pills, and the style dies in a month. I was spending a fortune on garbage. My philosophy now is quality over quantity. I would rather buy one expensive item made of high-quality fabric that will last me 5 years and look premium than 10 cheap items I'll throw away next season. And a bonus benefit? Fewer clothes mean less cognitive load. I have a capsule wardrobe. I know exactly what fits. I don't waste 20 minutes every morning staring at my closet in despair. It frees up my brain for actual work. 8. Excessive nightlife and alcohol. The hangover tax. This might be the hardest one for some of you to hear, but I stopped buying into the party lifestyle. I used to look at a Friday night out as a reward. Dropping $100 or $200 on drinks, Ubers, and entry fees felt normal. But when I audited my finances, I realized I was burning thousands a year just to have a headache the next morning. But just like with the previous points, it's not just about the money. It's about the hangover tax. Alcohol is the only thing you buy where you are borrowing happiness from tomorrow at a high interest rate. If I go out hard on Friday, my Saturday is ruined. I'm tired, I have brain fog, and I have zero motivation to work on my business or go to the gym. I calculated the opportunity cost. Is that overpriced cocktail really worth sacrificing my entire weekend of productivity? Now, I haven't become a hermit. I still see my friends, but we switched the default setting. Instead of meeting at a bar to drink, we meet for a coffee, a run, or a game of padel. I save money, I protect my health, and I get my weekends back to actually build wealth. 9. Obligatory gifts. The No Gift Pact. This Christmas, I introduced a new rule with my circle. We are signing a prenup, a pact to avoid unnecessary presents. We are living through a cost of living crisis. A recession is looming. And honestly, exchanging gifts has become a hollow ritual. We give people junk they don't need just to check a box. In return, they feel obligated to give us junk we don't need. It is a cycle of waste. The stats are scary. The average person spends hundreds of dollars on holiday gifts, and half of it ends up in a landfill or re-gifted. I'm no Grinch, I love the holidays, but I offered alternatives. Let's pool that money for a great dinner together. Let's gift time. Or let's do Secret Santa so we buy one high-quality gift instead of 10 bad ones. This removes financial stress and brings the holiday back to what matters: connection, not consumption. If you are curious about exactly what my budget looks like and how much I spend monthly living by these rules, write about it in the comments. If there are enough people willing, I will make a video about it. Cutting these 9 things out didn't make my life boring. It made it intentional. Try removing just a few items from this list, and you will be surprised at how fast your bank account starts to grow. Thank you so much for watching. If this brought you value, destroy that like button and subscribe. See you in the next one.